Welcome back to another Chronicles of Darkness character creation highlight. In place of doing a normal 0 session for World of Darkness, we are doing these one-on-one character creation sessions way in advance, so I am assured that each and every one of you will forget everything on your character sheet by the time we actually start playing.
That's a real possibility, almost a promise. Almost a promise.
I am joined by Jake, the baby-faced maven of the stream. How are you doing today, sir?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good. A little tired. But
You're still mad at me about yesterday in the homebrew game?
No.
No? Okay, good.
No, I got my win in the homebrew game. Or I didn't feel as beaten down. That's a good way to put it.
Well, it's a good thing you feel that way, because now we're doing World of Darkness. And that's...
Where it's nothing but a beatdown.
That's all I know how to do. So, we're going to be creating characters in the World of Darkness setting. Unlike normal character creation, I'm wanting everyone to be a little more specialized, a little bit more... I want everyone to feel like there's something that they excel at that no one else does.
Okay.
And so in that... It's on the back of my hand. In that spirit, there are a couple rules that I've tweaked a little bit, and I'll go over them as we go. Since you've only really ever created one World of Darkness character, I don't think you'll notice, but...
Okay.
Let's just get right into it, shall we?
Let's jump in.
Now, with you, because I know your interests, I kind of soft pitched you a concept.
Yeah.
I want to be upfront about that. I kind of like balled up all of his wants and dreams and tossed them at him, and then added a little caveat. I was like, "Oh, and you're old."
Yes.
So the character concept we kind of like decided together, but we still need to refine, is like, I like the concept of you being like an ex-pro wrestler.
Yes.
But that being said, not a pro wrestler in the fact that like the performance of it, like somebody who's actually like a wrestler, like good at grappling, good at like combat and whatnot like that. So like you are actually a good fighter. You're not just, I mean, because you are aware that wrestling is not real, right?
I am aware that wrestling is pre-planned and predetermined.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just not like telling a kid Santa Claus isn't real. That's just, you know what I mean? Like some wrestling fans are like, no, it's 100% real.
Yeah. No, I get that. If you're a wrestling fan yourself, if you're a mark, what Rio's referring to is that the character we're going to create is a stiff wrestler with the strong style of wrestling. Sorry.
It's a lot of grappling and like environmental combat.
Those guys in that discipline of wrestling hit really hard.
Okay.
So they're actually like strong and they actually throw people.
Well, there's also a lot of focus in this character concept of being tough and like not going down easy as well. Is that
like that.
A different style, or is that still okay? I know nothing about wrestling. I know that John Cena looks really good in jean shorts. That's about it.
Not many people do.
John Cena does.
Good for him. Yeah, you pitched me this character idea, and having no other knowledge of the game or what we're going to do or what the story is, I was already hooked. Admittedly. So
I've been hitting it out of the park with you lately too, because I also picked your Starfinder race for you.
You did, yeah. Yeah. Years of friendship is paying off.
Anyway, so as far as concept, so now we need to, like, we don't want to just say retired pro wrestler unless that's what you want the concept to be, but like usually you do something like disenfranchised wrestler or something like that, like, you know, like something that like really rounds out what we're building. So like as you make your decisions going forward.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by, does there need to be like a negative aspect to it?
No, I mean, like, so I do want people to kind of create flawed characters. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to be like, you guys aren't heroes per se. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, you're not necessarily bad people. Like, I'm not saying you have to be like a murderer or anything like that. But my point is like, I don't want them to be like D&D characters where it's like I go out and I save people and that's like my life. That shouldn't really be what you are. You should be a normal person who was flawed. You know what I mean? Like, like they're not strong in every aspect. You know what I mean? Like, while you might be strong and like have a high stamina, you might have a really low dex. You know what I mean? Like you just can't move the way you used to quickly. You know what I mean? But if you still get your hands on somebody, you can snap them in half. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't have to, like I said, like, you could be a peppy wrestler, you know what I mean? You could be friendly, you know, like you could be a dad wrestler, like, you know what I mean? But like it's usually 2 words, one describing like a noun and then usually an adjective. Any thoughts? It'll be interesting to watch these back because I don't think I've done any of these intro ends the same at all.
Okay.
Like I think I've explained it different to every person I've talked to.
It'll be funny when it's all cut together.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We had said ex-pro wrestler, but I didn't think about what that means or what that could do. What if it was like hard up for money or like
some thoughts as to like the rest of his life
okay.
that I would love to pitch to you, and we can do it now if you'd like.
Sure.
So it's kind of like I have this concept is that you were reasonably famous, like at least made it to the WWE.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But maybe not like you're really like maybe not somebody I would recognize, but somebody you would definitely recognize.
Okay, so not every household, but
yeah,
the
like wrestling fans know who you are.
Yeah. Okay.
And like maybe you went from like the hero to the villain arc and back again. Like you had a career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then it just got to a point where it's just like, you know, you're done with it for whatever reason. But you kept yourself together. Like you're not old or decrepit or anything like that, but you are older. You know what I mean? Like you just
Dave Bautista.
Okay, yeah. Is that Drax?
That's Drax, yeah.
Okay. Like, so I never heard of Drax until he became Drax.
Right.
But instead of going the Hollywood route, let's say you're a terrible actor. Let's just say, okay. My concept is you went into the underground fighting route. Now, not necessarily like, you know, like to the death or anything like that, but just like underground, like actual cage matches. Like it seems less viable in an MMA world, but like still, you know what I mean? Like,
but like bare knuckle boxing in bars.
But like super underground, and like you are kind of like a member of that community. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be like a hardcore criminal or anything, because like technically what you guys are doing is illegal, but I just know you as a person, and I can't see you playing like a fuck him kind of guy. Like I could just see you being like, hey Carl, I'm gonna break your nose later. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then during the fight, you're like, boom, told ya. You know, like it's a place where he gets to still be this guy that he was when he was famous. You know what I mean? That's kind of like that was kind of my concept for the character that I liked.
Okay.
It's up to you though.
What about? There's nothing really Stevie or like sketchy about opening a wrestling school.
Well, I mean, that could be his day job. You know what I mean? He has to explain his income somehow. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, and like, there's nothing saying that like maybe he uses that to recruit. You know what I mean? Like,
oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's an idea.
Like maybe he doesn't fight in the underground cage matches, but like maybe he's a recruiter and a trainer. You know what I mean? So like,
and every once in a while, one kid gets too lippy, and it's like, all right, you did this to yourself, kid. Crack jaw.
But you know, like so somebody who's like not 100% morally opposed to violence in like the true sense, but also like cares about people. Like, you know, like with underground cage fighting, people die. It happens. You know what I mean? But like it's not something that he keeps him up at night. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, this makes sense. I like this.
And I like it because, like, on the surface, he could be this, like, real buff, like, friendly dude who teaches in the community and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes to these bloody cage matches at night. You know what I mean? Like,
and you're like, gotta sweep the teeth off the mat. Hold on.
Don't want anybody to hurt themselves.
You ever step on a tooth? Gotta make sure we get those.
But I just like and I think it's a concept that you could do very, very well as Jake, and like having played with you for a while, this dichotomy between like friendly and like also like just all right, I'm gonna crack your skull open. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like I think you can do Murder Dad pretty well.
I love that title.
Do you want that to be your concept?
I don't know about Murder Dad,
Violence Dad.
but yes, I like that.
Scrap Dad.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
All right, so you'll write under concept Scrap Dad, and I'll put it in my notes. Also be trying to think of a name while we go through.
Ooh, that is way too big.
It's okay. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Gotta do the double tap.
Double tap. There you go.
Go.
And then like maybe the
there.
fine-tooth one.
I just gotta turn the thickness down a little bit. Scrap.
I think you should throw it down even further.
Yeah.
So you gotta write 2 more things on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm writing everything down here, so if it's incomprehensible on that, once we get there.
There it is. Scrap Dad.
All right, step 2, we need to pick your anchors. Now, anchors are your character's sense of self, right? Like they're what bring you back to center. You know what I mean? Like when something really like terrible happens to you, when something shakes your worldview, they're what bring you back, right? One is your virtue, and your virtue is kind of like something that affirms how you see yourself, right? Like the core of your person, something you will never, well, you might go against it, but like something like sticking to it reaffirms who you are as a person. And then your vice is something that you know on some level is self-destructive, but makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Like it makes everything easier. So like the obvious, like 2 obvious examples of these concepts, but I would love to get more conceptual with them. But like a teacher whose virtue is like compassion, giving everything to her kids, you know, like really focusing and like sacrificing for the kids, making sure they have the best education they have, but also freaking addict. So you go home, you pop some pills, you drink some booze, you destroy yourself at night, you know what I mean? Because that helps you get through that next day. You know what I mean? Like going to school and really reaching a kid might like fill you with sense of self more than taking the pills and booze when you get home, but the pills and booze help you sleep at night.
Yeah. One gets you through the day, one helps you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they don't have to be like the heavenly virtues or the deadly sins or anything. Like it can really be any word. So like what are you thinking for this given our concept and given where we're going with them?
For virtue, I'm thinking somewhere between or either like teaching and watching the younger generation of like athletes succeed, or like the not stardom but like eyes being on me, because maybe he misses that from the title run days.
I do like kind of like a virtue of like mentor as your virtue, kind of like anytime you feel like you've like guided someone, you know what I mean? Like but the problem with that as a virtue is like, so the mechanics behind these things is like when you give into your virtue in a way that might damage yourself or those around you, you gain all your willpower back. So like I'm hard pressed to think of situations where that virtue in game would cause a rift between what you should be doing and what you are doing. You know what I mean? Like it's not something, like it's a good virtue, it's a good trait to have for your character. I just don't know if it would ever be
function
a
the way
problem.
it's supposed to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about then like showboating is the best way I can put it, or like being the center of attention?
It's a virtue,
or as a vice, actually.
Yours is hard. Both of those are really great traits. I just don't know if they make good virtues and vices.
That's valid. Um, what feels really good as a vice? A clean 1-2 knockout.
Violent, essentially. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna solve it with violence.
It's gonna be 3 hits. Me hitting you, you hitting the floor, and the ambulance hitting 60.
See, I feel like this is gonna be a great character for you because I think you have a million of those.
I do.
This is what they say in the TTRPG business is play what you know. You know what I mean? All right, so some example virtues that they have in the book. Here, let me just read the virtue thing again. So, like, a character's virtue is her higher calling, personality trait that represents who she is when she is being her best. Behaving in accordance with virtue gives a character a sense of satisfaction and reaffirms her sense of self. Acting on a virtue is difficult, however.
Ooh. Tell me if I'm off base here.
Sure.
But entertaining others to a point of self-hurting? Because what is pro wrestling? My favorite wrestler is one who jumps off 20-foot ladders through a table. He doesn't have much time left wrestling.
My only problem with that is then how have you gotten to old age? You know what I mean?
That's valid. Good point.
One I like in here is competitive. And that kind of fits in with what you were saying earlier with that mouthy kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you like teaching these kids, you know what I mean? But, like, there's a point where, like, they're rolling on you a little too much and you got to put them in their place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that. That does make sense. I haven't even
So what they give as an example of a competitive as a virtue, your character always pushes herself to excel and be the best at whatever she does. It's not about defeating others, just about the rush she gets from honest competition and the thrill of knowing that she pushed herself further and faster to stay ahead of her rivals. Regain willpower when your character honestly competes with someone who outclasses her for stakes that she will feel if she loses.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Then there's a vice, too, for competitive. Your character needs to win. Nothing makes her happier than crossing the finish line first, and nothing makes her angrier than losing. She may even be willing to cheat in order to get her victory. Regain willpower whenever your character indulges in a competition that distracts her from other more pressing matters. I don't necessarily like that one as much.
I like it as a virtue more.
Yeah. Now, earlier you had said that, like, maybe he wants to get back to what he had.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still feel like that's a core tenet of him, or do you think he's happy with his life?
I think he's happy with his life. However, nothing beats walking down the ramp to 5,000 people cheering for you.
Yeah, but, like, that feeling's going to be hard to get, and a vice is something that's quick and easy. So, like, I don't think that's a good vice.
Okay.
I do like violent, even though that's going to cause a lot of problems for the rest of the party. I mean,
hot-headed, maybe? Like, super kind, but as soon as you get to an 8, then it goes to a 20 and not a 10. If that makes any sense.
It does. It's just vices aren't supposed to have... Like, a vice is something that shouldn't complicate your life outside of, like, the vice itself. You know what I mean? So, like, being greedy, being, like, an insomniac. Like, something that, like, hurts you in the short term, but, like, it feels good. You know, like, a vice is a character's short-term comfort. It's an easy way out. Personality trait she takes comfort in to avoid confronting her actual feelings or problems. Like virtue, acting on a vice reinforces the character's sense of herself, even if it is self-destructive. It still helps relieve stress and allows her to refresh herself, but is not healthy behavior in the long term.
Gambling?
We have a gambler already.
Okay.
Do you want to be the drunk?
I don't want to be the drunk, but it's so easy.
It's so easy. Let's think. Okay, you're in this
vegan.
fighting, huh?
Vegan.
That is not a vice. I mean, it is, but
I say that with no shade. I love vegans. Vegan food is delicious.
I mean, we could go for wrathful, but not violent. You know what I mean? Like to where
Spiteful?
sell
petty?
it to me. Sell me spiteful.
He gets the revenge that he feels he needs in the moment. If someone talked smack to him or one of his guys before a fight, and then his guy beat the hell out of him, he's just gonna let him do it longer than he should, and then go, "Sorry, I didn't think he was too much. You said you were gonna kick his ass. I didn't mean to. Should have pulled him off you way sooner."
Or like somebody cuts them off in traffic and you follow them to their parking spot and then push their car into a red zone. Like little things like that. Like, yeah. I can see that. I can see that as a vice. Like just like going out of your way.
Going out
to
of my
ruin
way.
Somebody else's day over something small.
Because they slighted me.
Yeah. Okay. I can get I can get behind spiteful. I can get behind that. So we're going with competitive for the virtue.
Mm-hmm. And spiteful.
And also, no one gets to judge anyone else on spelling.
Perfect.
Looking at you, internet.
Our friends and followers would not judge us. They would politely point it out.
Okay. I'm glad you feel that way about them.
I'm surprised you don't.
How are you feeling so far? Do you feel like you have a better grasp of who the character is now than when you started?
100%. Virtue and vice really puts into perspective who they are. It's just hard to get to.
Yeah. No, it's not a simple process. You know what I mean? Like some characters, it like jumps out. Like it's like immediate. You know what I mean? Like, and then like other characters, it's a little bit more difficult. You know what I mean? Like there's still a couple virtues and vices that I think are going to subtly change as we play, because I still feel like there's a couple characters who their virtue or vice is still a little too ephemeral. You know what I mean? Like, and like that's something that can shift as we play and get to know the character. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to know everything about a person from writing down a word on a character sheet. But let us continue. So now we need to do your attributes. Attributes. Now, attributes are split into 3 categories: mental, physical, and social. And then you prioritize one of those 3 as your primary. Then you have one that's your secondary and one that's your tertiary, based on the character concept. Now, what is different from normal World of Darkness is I'm requiring everyone to have a 3 in at least one attribute in each category. So a 3 in one of your mental, a 3 in one of your social, and a 3 in one of your physicals, regardless of how many points you get. Which means no matter what, you're going to have a 1 dot in something. Okay? Now, let's get into it. So obviously your character is probably going to be, and forgive me if you feel otherwise, but physical, social, mental.
I agree. Physical, social, mental.
All right. So for physical, you have 5 dots, and remember that first dot is free always. So you have 5 dots to distribute. If I can make some just knee-jerk suggestions, again, stop me if I'm overstepping at any time. I want this to be your character, but I'm thinking strength 4, dex 1, stamina 3.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to hit like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be so fragile that you can't take a hit back. And while dex does contribute to your defense later on,
You said strength 4, dex 1, stamina
3.
What if I did 4 to 2?
Like I said before we started, you need stamina 3 for something later. If you want to qualify for that later.
Okay. Okay. So
Fighting style merits have like really, really specific entry requirements. So like with you and Helena's character, I kind of like scouted ahead and kind of figured those out. And you definitely want stamina 3 later. You'll thank me.
okay.
Now, that being said, you could do strength 3, dex 2, stamina 3 if you wanted. I just really like the concept of you being like next to human maximum in strength.
Okay. Trying to think of real life equivalents.
I'm trying to find the strength thing so I could tell you what 4 dots means.
That would be good to hear.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. 30, page 30. Four dots is someone who is truly exceptional, and a character with 5 dots in an attribute has reached the peak of human potential within that ability. What does strength 4 mean? World of Darkness. Oh, Google.
Really hope we have some background music playing right here in the
Oh,
video.
just talk to me while I look it up.
Can you multitask?
Yeah, I'm very good at multitasking.
This is a cool concept.
So strength 2 is average. Strength 3 immediately jumps you to the 99th percentile. Strength 3 is a professional athlete, and Strength 4 would be world record-breaking strongman.
Okay.
I just really like the concept of you having a Strength 4, but you don't have to. You can do Strength 3.
I feel like Strength 3, Dex 2 makes sense in my head, but I don't know the rest of the game. I don't know how to level this character.
I mean, that would, so like having that 1 in Dex would be something that later you would probably go in and like, okay, Dex 2, boop. You know what I mean? Like later. Or you could just buy Strength 4 later. You know what I mean? Like it's up to you. Attributes are one of the more expensive things to buy. So you want to be happy with your attributes going in. But the reason I thought Dex 1 is because you are older, you are covered in muscle, like you are not as dexterous as the average person. You know what I mean? Like the big strong guys, like they can like jump real high and they can climb things easy, but like balancing and stuff like that isn't necessarily because like that's what dex is, like your ability to use your hands for fine details, your ability to, you know, like get out of the way of something, which isn't something you've trained yourself really to do.
Okay, so that does make sense because I think dex as like bobbing and weaving, how fast you can run across.
Well, so like so bobbing and weaving, when it comes to dex in fights, that can be compensated for by the brawl skill itself.
Okay.
Later, because that's your ability in a fighting thing, but your ability to like walk along a curb, you know what I mean? Like that would be dex.
Okay. So
balance, stuff like that.
Then it makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on.
Is that the moving on?
Yes, I don't know what that was. Can we just move on, please?
We can.
Let's move on to social with 4 dots. In this one, I can see your character having a very high composure, at least 3, because that's your ability to. Once I read it to you, you'll agree with me. Composure is a character's ability to keep control of her emotions and resist others' manipulations. It also represents poise, dignity, and the ability to keep a level head when under fire, metaphorically or literally.
Yeah.
So I would see composure 3, and then I mean, like if you wanted to do 1 dot and something, but I can also see you having a fair presence and a fair wits. So I could see 2 in either of those. I mean, manipulation.
Manipulation. I would think presence would be even bigger.
I agree with you. So a character with high presence dominates a room and are adept at changing people's thoughts and moods, and a manipulation represents your ability to choose his words, mask his intentions, and convince others to go along with his ideas. So I don't see your character being manipulative. I do see them having a very good presence. You know what I mean? Like people just like him.
Yeah.
And then I can see him being very calm. That's why the spiteful thing is such a good vice for him, because like he could control himself.
But I need a little high today.
It feels good. It feels good to like hook something in the lady in front of you's bag so that her groceries spill everywhere. It feels good.
That guy was clear of the hydrant, but
I just love the see with strength 4 you could do that. You know what I mean?
okay.
You might have to reach over and just force his thing into neutral, but then you know what I mean? Like just the concept of deadlifting a car and like moving it back over a hydrant.
Oh yeah. That's good. Okay.
All right. And then your final category is going to be mental, which you only have 3 dots. Now, if you want to qualify for everything down here that I looked at, you do need to have a wits 3. But I think you'll like wits. So let me go over what the mental skills do. So intelligence is your character's book smarts, his ability to process data. It represents memory, general knowledge, and ability to solve complex and difficult problems.
Okay.
Wits represents your quick thinking and improvisation. A character with a high wits responds quickly to new information and situations. It also represents perception and the ability to notice details and subtle tells, which for a fighter, that makes a lot of sense to me.
That does make perfect sense.
And then resolve represents your character's patience, concentration, and determination. A high resolve allows a character to focus despite distractions or discouragement.
So 2 points in wits and 1 in resolve?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
That makes the most sense to me.
And I think there's 2 int 4 characters in the group so far, so like you don't need to have good ints.
Cool.
Okay, moving on to the skills. So what I tell everybody is go through before you make any decisions and put 1 dot in every skill you think you will want for your character. And then we'll go from there. I have no prerequisites for mental skills for you. So, and I can explain them as we go if you want. Like if you're just looking at it and you want an explanation.
Investigation or medicine, I guess, would make sense for me. Makes sense to me.
Just keep in mind that those are 2 specialty skills of other players. So like you're always going to be outshone in those, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have some. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Medicine, I agree, makes a lot of sense for you. Maybe a little bit of occult. Maybe you're superstitious.
Yeah.
Politics represents a character's knowledge of political bodies, figures, and issues. It helps a character navigate bureaucracies and play the political game to get what he wants. Not necessarily just politics like state politics, but on a smaller scale as well.
That would make sense, knowing the business.
Yeah, I think that bureaucracy and whatnot is something that your character would have dealt with a lot. So I think you might have 1 dot in there.
I would agree there.
I don't really see you having science or academics, though. That's all book learning, and I don't think you finished high school.
There was a GED down the line, but...
And then like 1 dot in medicine is a student of someone with basic medical training. At this level, a character can perform first aid and stabilize injured people, identify common diseases, and care for serious but not critical injuries.
That makes sense to me. How many of these do I have?
So like, don't worry about that. Just put a dot in everything you think your character would have. So if you think medicine and investigation, and then we'll just move on from there.
Medicine and investigation.
I don't know if your character would be super into investigation. Because it's
Probably just fine.
your character's ability to find and put together clues and solve mysteries and puzzles. It represents the ability to think laterally and make useful intuitive leaps, find meaningful patterns in confusion, and draw conclusions from the available data.
No, not the investigation I thought it was.
But I can see crafts, actually. Crafts is just building stuff, like working on your car, working on your bike.
Yeah. That do make sense to me.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
Okay, physical. These should look real familiar to you, but let me know if there's anything you have questions about, and we'll just go through and add 1 dot to everything we need.
I would say athletics and brawl.
For sure.
Does that make sense? Makes sense to me.
Athletics broadly covers a number of different areas of physical ability. It represents training in specific sports, from kayaking or parkour to professional sports like basketball or football. It's your running, jumping, climbing, jumping between buildings, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Drive, firearms, larceny, stealth, survival, weaponry.
There is a world where I think weaponry would be useful for your character.
I was just thinking that.
Because, like, if you pick up a chair or, like, a lamp or something and you want to hit somebody with it, that's weaponry.
Yeah, that tracks.
I could see survival a little bit, but it's not necessary, I don't feel like. You can drive a car without having a high drive skill. But if you want to be particularly good at driving a car, then you should consider drive. But it's also general knowledge of vehicles themselves. So, and then do you think your character carries a gun?
No.
So no firearms knowledge whatsoever.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We'll come back to it once we have more dots, and maybe that's one that we end up throwing something into. But I feel like you're going to be pretty specialized.
Larceny?
Larceny is literally breaking and entering. Anything that has to do with breaking and entering or stealing. So like breaking into a car, breaking into a house, disabling a security system, pickpocketing somebody.
It does kind of make sense for the...
It's almost always going to involve dex.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I'm saying if that's something you think that your character wants to do, but breaking into a door to break into somebody's house might be strength plus larceny. You know what I mean? Knowing how to break a door open where the lock comes off. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So there are worlds where that's useful. So maybe throw a dot in it, something you're interested in.
Or survival. Survival, actually.
Survival is your ability to survive in harsh environments and find food, scavenge, find water, stuff like that. It could be urban environments, maybe you were homeless for a while, or it could be out in the wilderness, you camp a lot. Either of those situations are represented by survival.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Social skills. There are 2 prerequisites down here so socialize 2 I think would be good for your character, and then streetwise 2 I think would be good for your character, and I will explain what those mean, but let's just go through all the rest. Animal ken, that's your animal handling from D&D. Empathy is your ability to read and understand others' feelings and motivations. It represents careful observation of body language, tone, and other cues. It's basically your insight.
Okay. Expression?
Expression is your speech telling ability, your ability to write, your ability to express yourself, acting, music, dance. You can use it to write a song, a poem, a book, put together a speech, all of those things.
For sure, because cutting promos in wrestling.
Intimidation is intimidation. Persuasion is persuasion. Subterfuge is lying. Your deception.
Okay.
Socialize specifically is the art of small talk, polite gestures, and fitting in. It represents your ability to interact with people in a variety of social settings, from dive bars to state dinners. The reason I like socialize for your character specifically is because, like, if you were a pro wrestler, you have to be able to talk to the people and also talk in a boardroom. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be successful at that and not know how to compose yourself in very different situations. And then streetwise, if you are working in the community with this wrestling school and this underground ring of sorts, knowing the neighborhood and knowing the people is very
Absolutely
important.
Yeah, so those two make really good sense. And then expression and intimidation, I think, are the only other two.
All right, grab them. I don't see your character having a lot of subterfuge. Like, I think socialize covers the type of subterfuge you would more do.
I agree with that.
Like, I don't see your character really needing to upfront lie. I mean, like, even about the underground ring, like, who's going to ask him, hey, are you an underground fighting ring? Like, nobody's going to ask him that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was your... I forgot to write down your attributes. I was so into building your character. So int was 1. Wits was 3.
Yep.
And resolve was 2.
Yep.
Strength is 4.
Mm-hmm.
Dex is 1. Stamina is 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then presence is 3.
Presence is 2.
Manipulation
1.
And then
composure 3.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go back and figure out what all of this does. So you have 11, 7, and 4 to spend amongst your skill categories. You can choose which one you put into which. Like, but given how it's played out, probably 11 physical, 7 social, and then your 4 in mental is what I'm thinking. So mental, what else do you want to add? Either 1 dot to, or do you want to bring something up to 2 dots?
I think just put the second dot in politics. Unless there's another political subterfugist in the group.
There is, but not super. So, like, I could see an argument for either 2 medicine or 2 politics, is what I was thinking. Because, like, you put people back together after very violent fights, so I can see you having a little bit more medicine than anything else.
Yeah, it does make sense to me. Or I could do it in crafts. Build rings in these dive bars.
Sure.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Okay. All right, now down to 11. Now, everyone in the party has to have at least 1 skill at 4 dots.
Okay.
Obviously, for your character, that seems like brawl to me, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have 1 skill at 3 dots.
Athletics.
Makes sense to me, yes.
3, that's 7, 8, 9.
10, 11, you got 2 more?
Wow. Drive and then another one in weaponry.
Or survival.
I just do 2 in both.
I don't think anyone has really picked survival, so...
He slept in his car in the streets.
On several occasions, yeah.
And in the beginning of his career, a lot.
All right, and then 7 for that last one.
1, 2, 3, 4. Do socialize and streetwise have to be
At least 2, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that. So 2, 4, 5, 6. I got 1 more dot. Expression, I think.
Okay, go for it. Because you don't really cut that intimidating of a like you don't seem that intimidating to me. Like you're
Right.
capable of it for sure, but like maybe not.
Yeah.
And that might be your intimidation might be a good spot for a specialty. Speaking
that
of
mean?
which, we're on to specialties.
Ooh.
So specialties, you choose 3 skills that
Okay.
you have a specialty in. Now, the knee-jerk reaction is to go right to your high skills like brawl and athletics and throw a specialty in there.
Yeah.
But I would highly suggest taking something that you took 1 or 2 dots in to represent a very specific thing. Like you were like, I think he has this because of this reason. And then putting a specialty into those because those give you larger dice pools with those smaller pools.
Okay.
So like I was saying with intimidation, like if the reason you took intimidation is because you're physically intimidating, taking a specialty in being like looking scary for your intimidation, that means anytime you're using your physicalness to look scary, you would get an extra dice for that dice pool.
Okay. I like the idea of doing it in intimidation. How many specialties do I get?
3 at character creation.
That's a lot.
So like looking big or like being physically imposing for intimidation.
Or I was thinking just like death stare.
Okay.
Super charismatic and smiling, beautiful white smile. But then as soon as the death stare comes out, it's like, oh no, I can't write death stare that small.
I mean, like you can kind of like just write it off to the side. I am writing it on your cheat sheet, so
Actually, the Apple Pen gives me very good handwriting, so I can write it.
okay.
So I got 2 more.
What else are things like? So like we could go back up to medicine and like think like first aid. We could go into weaponry and say improvised weapons.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Improvised weapons, like pick up the camera holder and use it as a beating stick. And then
I mean, you could also go into brawl and give yourself a grappling specialty, and then you're just a fucking god when it comes to grappling specifically.
that does make sense. Oh, that makes too much sense. I can't not. Grapple.
I'm just so excited for this character to wrestle a werewolf to the ground and just be like, "Give, give." Okay, that is our specialties. Now we're moving on to merits. Now, how we are doing merits is very, very against the rules. Okay?
Okay.
So, World of Darkness, for a level 1 character, they want you to take 7 dots of merits.
Okay.
Helena took 27. Because what we're doing is we're going through, and I want these characters to feel like fully realized people.
Yeah.
So if a merit makes sense for your character, I'm going to let you take it.
Okay.
Now, the other side of that is... You okay?
Yes.
The other side of that is if you end up with the highest merit dots, what we're going to do is I'm going to give everyone else who has less than you experience points to compensate.
Okay.
So it's fair for everybody. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm taking too many or anything like that, because like the more you have, the more everyone else can buy.
Okay.
So this is the merit section of the book. We're going to go through it together,
Okay.
piece by piece, and we're going to decide together what we feel like the character should have. I already have notes of things that I think are good for your character specifically. So
Perfect.
we're going to start on page 2 with mental merits.
Oh, it's double-sided printed. This is
Very fancy.
okay.
Usually I would say area of expertise is a good merit for you, but I don't think your specialties really, like, like the 3 specialties you took, I don't think like you're particularly good at. I mean, like taking area of expertise and grappling is a little metagamey. Like let's
Yeah.
slow down a little bit. Like that gives you a pool. Like right now, your brawl pool with grappling is 9 dice,
1, 2, 3, 4, and then grappling
5 plus strength.
5. Yeah, 9 dice.
Which is a huge pool.
Yeah.
I can see an argument for common sense, but one of the other characters already took it. And again, like I don't see your character really being that aware of the world around him. Danger sense, I don't think that he gets ambushed a lot. I could see an argument for direction sense, but I don't think you need it for the character.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I see the argument for it, but
it doesn't feel core. It doesn't feel like you need it for the character concept.
That's a good way to put it.
Same with eidetic memory, same with encyclopedic knowledge, same for Eye of the Strange, which you don't qualify for anyway. I can see fast reflexes.
I could see that. Yeah.
So you might want to pick up fast reflexes. I, in my notes, had put down maybe 1 dot for that, but you can decide.
I'm just going to write fast reflexes.
And what that does is it gives you an initiative bonus.
Yeah.
I don't see your character having particularly good time management. I don't think he's really into herbs. Do you have Resolve 3? I don't think you do.
I don't have Resolve 2.
Okay. Then Indomitable's out. Interdisciplinary specialty might be interesting for your character specifically. So, for example, like you could take interdisciplinary specialty with your grappling skill, and then anytime you could apply it to a different skill, you would get that specialty. So, like, if you're like, okay, so I'm trying to intimidate this guy, so I just put my hand around his neck with my grappling skill, and then you get that specialty to intimidation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, you have to be creative with it, but like, that's something I could see your character, especially as a pro wrestler, using those wrestling moves in a bunch of different places. But it's also something that I can see us skipping.
I think we should skip it for now because that's going to take a lot of mental power to try to think of and connect the dots.
Yeah. Language, library, meditative mind.
Not investigative aid, investigative prodigy. No, that makes sense. Makes sense to not do those.
I actually could see a meditative mind is something that I think might be interesting for the character. Being able to like sit down, breathe, and like center yourself really easy. That's something I can see. But it's up to you. Like, I mean, it requires you to like meditate for like 4 hours, like a day.
Damn.
But it has some pretty good benefits.
Could we spin it that meditating for my character is like just a light workout, being in the gym, headphones in?
If you fully committed to the 4 dot version, then yes.
Okay.
Now, the other thing with meditation is, before we decide on this, let's go look at actual meditation. It's not in your notes, but it's in mine.
Okay.
A character can improve her chances of resisting a breaking point by meditating. So, like, this is your integrity, right? You take composure plus wits with a target success of 4, an interval at 30 minutes. So you roll composure plus wits every 30 minutes until you get a certain number of successes. Now, the reason I say if you bought the 4.1, it means you only need 1 success. So it means in a 30-minute workout, if you can get that 1 success, boom, you're in the zone. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
After successfully meditating, you get a +1 bonus to your next breaking point roll. Once this bonus is used for the character sleeps, it disappears. So basically, you're able to better shrug off horrifying and upsetting things because you have this ritual, this meditation.
Yeah.
So if you were to go all in, I could see the workout thing. if you're not going to go all in, I see it like, I mean, you could still see it as the workout thing, actually. I kind of like that regardless. Like, you're very focused on your body, and I do like that, actually. So any amount you want to go for, no restrictions.
No, I'm up for the 4 dot because then what's a half hour? Half hour of cardio, going out for a jog down the street and back a couple times or something, you know?
So with the 1 dot version, you can meditate regardless of environmental penalties, even from like bleeding to death. With 2 dot version, has a successful meditated, you get a +3 bonus on any resolve plus composure rolls during the same day, as she steeled herself against the things in the world that would shake her foundation. And at the 4 dot, you only need a single success to gain the benefits of the meditation for the day.
There, I went 4 dots. That just makes sense to me.
Multilingual, meh. Patient. Again, so while that seems like something he would have, I don't necessarily care for the effect it gives. So I don't think it's necessary for you to take. I feel like you could be patient without getting extra bonuses to extended actions. Professional training you can't take because you don't have a normal job. You know what I mean? Like, your job doesn't offer you on the job training.
Yeah.
You don't qualify for tolerance for biology.
But it makes sense.
It really does, but so
you don't turn away the sight of blood. Rather, I make people bleed. I clean up the blood.
sure, but like at the same time, like causing violence in a particular setting or causing violence to like strangling the life out of a man like in a fight for your life is probably still upsetting for your character.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or seeing somebody's head split open and like eels pop out of it is probably still upsetting for your character. Like, you're used to violence. Like, I'm probably not going to ask your character to make a lot of integrity rolls for violence per se, but like particularly bad violence, like, you know, twisting somebody's head off or something should probably still upset you.
Right. Trained observer. Where we left off.
Maybe. I don't see you being particularly perceptive, but it's up to you. If it's something you want to fight for.
Your character spent years in the field, catching tiny details and digging for secrets. You might not have a better chance of finding things, but she has a better chance of finding important things. Nah.
And then I definitely don't want to make you pick another virtue or vice, so we'll skip right over those. I don't see your character being particularly ambidextrous, meaning like you dual wield stuff a lot. You probably pick up one big heavy thing and beat somebody to death with it.
Yeah.
Automotive genius, you didn't take enough in crafts, drive, or science. So
correct.
You're not a crack driver. You could be a demolisher, but again, it's one of those things where unless you really see yourself cracking down doors a lot, I don't see it being that necessary.
Okay.
But it's up to you. Like, that's one of the ones I put down as like, he might want this. So
Maybe.
Okay. Double jointed, you do not qualify for. Fleet of foot, I did not write down because while I don't see you running a lot.
Okay.
Do you think you do a lot of cardio?
Enough, but not like an exceptional amount.
You want to take Fleet of Foot 1? Increases your speed.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
That makes me feel good. Fleet of Foot 1. I didn't put how many I took in fast reflexes.
We'll just put down 1 for now, and we can go back to it.
Okay.
Both of those are 1 to 3, so it just increases the benefit the more dots you have in it. So like that's something like when you do get experience points, you go back and you're like, okay, so let's increase that.
Yeah.
The next one I really want you to take for selfish reasons.
Giant.
Your character is massive. She's well over 6 feet tall, and crowds part when she approaches. She's size 6 and gains +1 health. The selfish reason, I'll tell you the selfish reason. Margaret's character took small framed, so she's under 5 feet.
Okay.
Right. So you being a giant, you're over 6 feet. No, that could be 6'5", 6'6". It doesn't have to be like 7 feet tall or anything like that.
Okay. If it can be like 6'4", then
6'6".
6'5".
All right. Deal.
All right.
Devil deal.
I'm 6'5".
It's good for you because you get more health. And the only downside is buying clothes is a nightmare, and fitting in small places sucks. That's the only downside.
How many dots do I have to put in it? 3 automatically?
3 automatically. This is one that if later you're like, I have too many dots, we can go through and remove it if you want. But having that extra health dot is really nice. All right, hardy. This is one that I like flagged. Your body is particularly hardy, so you add dots to roll to resist disease, poison, deprivation, unconsciousness, or suffocation.
I think that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
3 dots there?
Well, it's 1, 2, 3. So you can do the same thing you did with fast reflexes and stuff. Put 1 dot in it for now, and then readdress it later.
I'm just gonna put 2 off the bat because it makes too much sense.
Look. Hardy, 2 dots. That's exactly what I wrote. Greyhound, I don't see you chasing a lot of people. Iron stamina is incredibly good, and it's very, very powerful. But and you qualify for it. So I would really consider iron stamina as well. So basically, with your health pool, like if you look over here with the health dots, so if you have, let's say 8 there, right? The last 3, when you have any amount of damage in the 8, so the 6th, right? You now take a -1 to all rolls.
Okay.
If you put anything in the 7th, -2 all rolls.
I get it.
Take it into the 3rd, -3 all rolls. Iron stamina, if you take 1 dot, that pushes that back. So now the 7th is -1, the 8th is -2. If you take 2 dots, pushes it back even further, and at 3 dots, you just don't suffer wound penalties.
I definitely like iron stamina at least 1.
And it can never be used to gain positive dice rolls, but iron stamina can be used to reduce negatives. And it also deals with fatigue.
Yeah.
So you don't fatigue easily either. We're going to skip over parkour because you don't qualify. I know, it's terrible. You don't really want quick draw. Yeah, you don't really want quick draw. I mean, to be honest, the ability to like pick up a lamp and smash somebody with it in the same turn is satisfying. But I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
No relentless, no seizing the edge, no sleight of hand, definitely not small framed or a stunt driver. Moving on to social merits. You with me? Allies? Mm-hmm. So allies, I can see the benefit for you in allies I don't think is really there. I had flagged a different one later. Okay. I don't think you have an alternate identity. I don't think you have anonymity. I do like barfly for you.
Yeah. I do like barfly for sure.
And that's why I had you take those 2 dots in socialize earlier, is for barfly. Do you know what it does?
I believe so, because I believe my only other World of Darkness character had barfly.
Yeah, so you just fit in a bar environment.
Yeah.
Like anyone trying to clock you is not belonging in a bar. Like they take your socialize as a penalty. I don't think closed book makes a lot of sense for you.
I don't think it does either.
I don't think you have a lot of contacts because, again, I have something in mind later.
Okay.
Fame.
We said that. Would I be household famous? No. So
when choosing this merit, as a rule of thumb, 1 dot means either local recognition or reputation within a confined subculture.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 2 dots is either regional recognition by a wide swath of people, or 3 dots means worldwide recognition to anyone that might have been exposed to the source of the fame. I'm thinking 1.
Yeah.
Because like we said like earlier, like you're recognizable to like wrestling fans, but not somebody who just watches the promos for WrestleMania.
I've never been on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
But
or in a movie or anything like that. I can't see you taking fast talking, fixer, hobbyist click, inspiring. I don't think you qualify for. Iron Will, you don't qualify for. I don't see you having a mentor anymore. You are the mentor now.
Yeah.
I don't see you being in a cult. I don't see you being a pusher. Resources. Do you want to have your own money?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be kind of poor?
I'd like to have a little bit, enough to.
Okay.
Okay.
So 3 dots is a nice middle upper class life. 4 is moderately wealthy, and 5 is filthy rich.
Definitely not 4 or 5.
So 3.
3 makes sense. Is there 2?
There is a 2.
What's
2 is comfortable middle class wage.
I'm fine with 2.
Okay. So you're not really in the business of the fighting ring for the money, really.
Yeah. More just that it takes up more time, and unfortunately, it's kind of fun.
I don't see you having a retainer. I don't see you having a safe place, small unit tactics, spin doctor, staff, right out. Now, status. I do like the concept of status for your character. Now, you don't have to take it, but what this would mean is like within the organization that runs this fighting ring, you have weight to push around within that organization. That's why I was saying like not necessarily allies, not necessarily contacts for you, but like an actual stake in this organization.
Yeah.
And like the more dots you have, just the higher up you are in that group. Now, the downside to status is that it requires upkeep. So you can't just like ignore this organization and maintain your status.
Yeah.
Now, like they might be able to give you huge swaths of leeway, but like you're in this business, you're working in it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was something you were interested in, but
I like it. Because that does make perfect sense.
okay.
How many dots do I have?
Okay, so we'll go over what each dot means, okay? So first, your character can apply her status to any social role with those over which she has authority or sway. So that's the 1 dot.
Yeah.
2 dots, she has access to group facilities, resources, and funding. Depending on the group, this could be limited by red tape and requisitioning processes, and also depending on the resources that particular group has available. So if you had the 2 dots, that means you would have access to their underground facility, their gym. You know what I mean? Like if you and the party need a place to like lay low, like it's already a hidden underground thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and your status too, you would have access to it. I mean, like it might be like, why are you bringing so many people into like the secret, fighting pit? But, and third, you have pull. If she knows a character's mentor, resources, retainer, contacts, or allies, she can block their usage. Once per chapter, she can stop a single merit from being used if it's a lower dot rating than her status, and if it makes sense for her organization to obstruct that type or person's behavior. In our organized crime example, if your character knows the chief of police has contacts, you may opt to block usage by threatening the informant into silence.
I already put 3.
Okay. And then there is technically no 4 or 5. It just becomes stronger.
Yeah.
But at 3 dots, you have pull within your organization. So you can make things happen with this organization. And that's why I was like, contacts and allies could also represent these people, but I really like you just having status in it. So you put 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Striking looks? Are you pretty?
I would think so. You got to be pretty to be a A pro wrestler.
The Undertaker.
That's true.
Hulk Hogan, it would be a stretch to call Hulk Hogan pretty.
That's very true. He came from a different era, though.
I'm just saying striking looks specifically is like being beautiful or handsome. Like you can be physically beautiful without taking striking looks.
Okay, I accept that.
You're not Dell.
Yeah.
Sympathetic, I don't see, because that requires you being like real pathetic. Table turner, takes one to know one. You're not like a murderer or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't take specialty in crafts or expression, so taste is out. True friend, you didn't take anything that you need that protection. Untouchable is out. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, not the manipulation.
Well, and plus you don't really commit that many crimes.
Yeah.
You're involved in a criminal organization, sure, but like
every time I go there, I'm committing a crime.
I guess. And then we're gonna skip way over supernatural merits because you're not getting any of those, and into the fun stuff. All right, fighting merits. So it's a couple pages in. So.
It's okay. Martial arts, light weapons. Okay. Okay, grappling.
Yes.
Improvised weaponry. Hold on.
I told you we're getting into the good stuff, and you've already spent a lot of dots.
I have.
All right, so if you want to scroll down to page 2, we'll just put everything under other traits for this one, so that like you have room to like play around. Okay, so first things first, armed defense. I don't really see your character having that. Because that's mostly fighting with a sword or something. Like, and while like you are pretty good at stuff, I thought cheap shot for you at first, but your dexterity plus subterfuge isn't going to be very good. Yeah. So I feel like you'll like be very disappointed with that one a lot. Mm-hmm. But it is a very powerful ability in that if it goes off, they lose their defense for the turn. So it is good, but I see other things that you would be better at.
Yeah.
Chokehold, 100%. It's a 2 dot. It gives you a good stuff. I'm into it. All right. So what this means is like when you initiate a grapple, right? Mm-hmm. You can use the choke move. Once you initiate the grapple, you're now grappling. So unlike D&D, once you're grappling, you're in a whole new type of combat. You have a whole list of other things you can do. Jeez. Drop them prone, deal damage to them, try and choke them out. This gives you the choke maneuver while grappling.
Okay.
Right? So the choke maneuver, if you roll more successes than twice the victim's stamina, they're unconscious.
Okay.
For a number of minutes equal to 6 minus their stamina dots.
Okay.
So that means even somebody who has a stamina of 5... If you get him in that chokehold and you get 10 successes, which is a lot, that's hard to do, but they're just out for a minute.
Okay. That's cool.
Close quarters combat is also one that I flagged for you. And I flagged it at 2 because what it does, so this is your ability to fight without hurting yourself, because like punching someone is hard, mm-hmm. right? So you've learned to use the environment mm-hmm. around you, right? So at 1, in some situations, your character, you get firing lines as an ability. Your best option is a tactical retreat, especially if he's inadvertently brought to a knife to a gunfight. So what this means is like you can, so in combat in World of Darkness, like if somebody pulls out a machine gun and you're like, oh, I don't want to get shot with a machine gun, right? You have the option to drop prone, which gives them negatives to their mm-hmm. shots against you. My husband is sending me TikToks right now. Or you have dive for cover, which lets you move your speed to something to hide behind.
Yeah.
With the 1 dot in this one, you can move double your speed to get behind cover. So not the best ability, but the second one is why I'm bringing us here. Bouncing somebody's head off a urinal, computer monitor, or brick wall is a handy way to increase the amount of hurt inflicted while not breaking the aforementioned hand bones. When your character is grappling someone, he can bounce them off a hard surface with a damage move. He deals lethal damage, then immediately ends the grapple. So you got them grappled, you don't want to grapple them anymore, so you just bang their head against the wall.
I love it.
Or fucking pick somebody up and just toss them. And these are things that you're gonna want to like grow into. Like third armored coffin is really good too, but like and like prep work and turnabout, like all of these in close quarter combat are good, but it's a little ridiculous to have 5 dots in it right off the bat.
Yeah.
But like armored coffin is fun because it lets, like if they're wearing body armor, it suddenly is working against them because you like get your hands in the straps and like now you're restricting their movements and stuff like that. Like it's fun. Like I had a lot of fun picking the fighting styles for this character for you. No, go away. Why did you do that? Go back. Thank you. Defensive combat is a must take for your character because it lets you use your 4 brawl for defense as opposed to your athletics.
Okay.
So defensive combat, and then it's 4 brawl specifically.
Defensive combat, 1 dot there. We had 2 in close quarters combat. Helena had 27. Helena had 27.
Yes. I think you've already surpassed her, but
I don't know that I have.
well, we're not done.
Oh, Jesus.
Fighting finesse, no. Firefight is guns, so no. Let's move on to grappling. I put down all 3 dots in this.
Joint lock is all 3. Yeah, it's too much.
So your character is trained in wrestling or one of many grappling martial arts. Sprawl. Your character can adjust his weight to defend himself in a grapple. While in a grapple, the character's opponent cannot apply the drop prone or take cover moves from you because you can just like, nope. Takedown. Your character can take an opponent to the ground rapidly. With a normal roll, you may choose to render an opponent prone instead of establishing a grapple. Also, you may choose to cause bashing damage equal to the successes rolled. So it basically I tackle
Yeah.
him without putting yourself into a grapple with it. You know what I mean? So it's 100% just grabbing their foot. Whoop, you know. Joint lock. You use joint locks and immobilizing tactics to limit your opponent's movement. You can use the joint lock move in a grapple. Next turn, your opponent suffers bashing damage equal to your successes. You can use joint lock as a lead-in to the restrain move. In addition, any successful overpowering maneuvers your characters use cause 1 lethal damage in addition to its normal effects. So usually with Brawl, you can only do bashing damage. But this lets you like snap a bone or something like that.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Am I going to be using it very often?
If you're going to be grappling, all of these are useful.
Yeah.
Having the ability to use your grapple dots to knock somebody prone is useful. You know what I mean? Like these are all things that are useful, but like I also kind of feel like if you're going to play a grappler, you should probably take the grappling fighting style.
Yeah.
And being able to do lethal damage with your fists is very good. So regardless of anything else, that's really nice.
Okay. I put 2 in it for now.
Okay. I don't see you using heavy weapons.
I'm already on improvised weaponry.
I think you have Wits 3 and Weaponry 1.
I do.
So I am also a fan of improvised weaponry. Your character can always get armed, your hands on something dangerous, and he has an instinctive understanding of how to put to good and deadly use. At the start of your turn, make a reflexive wits plus weaponry roll to grab an object suitable for use as a weapon in pretty much any environment. It basically lets you pick up anything and turn it into a weapon that is no longer improvised, so you don't take the penalty. So It takes your specialty in improvised weapon and turns it into something that's not only... So, like... That specialty before compensated for the penalty from using an improvised weapon, but now it's a +1. So now you're even better with improvised weapons than actual weapons.
I have to. We'll go back. Improvised weapon.
I don't see in harm's way as much. Yeah, the other ones I don't see. Iron Skin. Hello?
Hello?
I was trying to open it as quietly as possible.
That's okay. Hi, Coulter.
Hi, Coulter. He's behind the camera.
Always one.
Iron Skin is one I really, really like, and I would highly suggest because it literally just gives you armor.
I don't have street fighting.
We're getting there.
Okay.
You're gonna want street fighting. Street fighting has some really good shit in it. Again, don't worry if you end up with the most. Like we said, we can go back and fiddle with some stuff, or everyone else just gets a benefit.
We're
It's
gonna
not
have
a big
to
deal.
go back.
Shiv. Shiv is one you might consider in the future as well. But Iron Skin is great because if somebody stabs you with a knife, you can spend a willpower to turn at least one of those lethal damage into a bashing.
Okay.
On top of the fact that if somebody punches you, you ignore the first 2 bashing damage. If you take the 4 dot, you ignore the first 2 bashing damage every time somebody punches you.
I don't know if I need the 4 dot. The 2 dot probably.
Yeah, 2 dot lets you do both of those things, just it's only 1 and 1. I don't see light weapons, marksmanship. I don't see martial arts. Police tactics is something you might consider in the future because compliance hold and like weapon retention further empower your grappling, and the ability to speed cuff somebody with like zip ties and stuff is really handy. But I don't see that something you're starting out with.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see that's something you grow into. Street fighting.
I need at least 2 in, right?
Yes. But there's a ability that plays perfectly into your spitefulness. So the 1 dot in street fighting is duck and weave. Your character has been beaten all to hell more than a few times. Now she dodges on instincts, not on skill. You can reflexively take a 1 dot penalty to any actions this turn to use your wits instead of your dexterity to calculate your defense.
Okay.
So, like, your wits is 3, your dex is 1. So that means, as a general rule, with your brawl defense from earlier, your brawl's 4. That means you would have a defense of 5. This would shoot it up to 7,
Okay.
taking just a -1 penalty to the rest of your dice pool. Like, that's huge. Removing 7 dice from somebody's attack pool is, like, huge.
This is what you said. I don't have to worry about getting hit because this is my save.
Knocking the wind out, you shots to the center mass to shake an opponent. Your character knows this well. When your character makes a successful unarmed attack, the opponent suffers a -1 to its next roll. So you're further, like, not only do you have defense 7, but you're also knocking the wind out of them. And then this one is for the spiteful, kick them while they're down. The best enemy is one on the ground. Your character topples opponents, keeps them down. Anytime your successes on an attack roll exceed an opponent's stamina, you may choose to apply the knockdown tilt. Additionally, anytime your character is close enough to strike an opponent, when they attempt to get up from prone, you can reflexively cause 2 bashing damage as you like kick them in the face.
Oh, that's so tempting.
That's when you're like spiteful, and it was like, oh, I got the perfect ability for spiteful.
Yeah.
Stay down. And then 1-2 punch is the 4 dot. It's like all the terms you used earlier are in street fighting. And then unarmed defense is also good, but it requires a lot more dex than you have. So,
Yeah.
and that's everything.
Goodness. Okay, so hold on. I gotta go back and count. 1, 5, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, Jesus, 22, 24, 25, 27, 28, 30. Yeah, we gotta. I think the meditative mind's gotta go.
It's very useful.
Or fleet of foot. Giant doesn't give me anything really.
It gives you an extra health dot.
That's right. Fleet of foot. What does that do?
Fleet of foot increases your speed. You could also live without Barfly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really necessary for your character. So if you dropped... You have to take at least Street Fighting 2.
At least 2.
Yeah, because of Iron Skin. I'd also like to point out that having 30 is okay.
I know. I just don't want to.
Well, if you want to match with Helena, right? Drop your Fleet of Foot and your Barfly, and then you'll be right at her with
What does
27.
the fame do for me?
I mean, fame is useful if, like, you can leverage your fame in certain situations, but your fame can also work against you. So, like, if you want to be a nobody wrestler...
But it's like, why do I have status if I also have fame?
Because fame is people recognizing you and wanting to do favors for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like wrestling fans knowing who you are, having leverage over those wrestling fans. Status gives you wrestling, it gives you power within your organization.
Okay, that's valid. And Hardy gives me...
Hardy is very useful. Hardy's the one that lets you reduce your penalties for, like, disease, poison.
Mm-hmm. Do I need the meditative mind?
I like it.
That's 4 gods.
You could drop down to 2.
Yeah? And then I'd have to...
You just have to get 4 successes in order to properly meditate to gain the benefits.
Mm-hmm. And I can roll how many times per hour?
So every time you roll is 30 minutes.
Okay. So it'd take me at least 2 hours.
If you get good rolls, because your pool for that isn't huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 6 dice. So you could do it in the first 30 minutes. It could take you 3 times. It's just how often do you want to work out to gain that really good benefit?
Is the benefit that good?
+3 to resolve plus composure rolls. Resolve plus composure is probably one of the biggest rolls I ask for.
Okay. Yeah, I could go to 2 and then take Fleet of Foot off.
Mm-hmm.
And Barfly. Or take Barfly down to 1.
Oh, Barfly is 2.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't. You either get rid of it or you have 2.
Let's see. Oh, that worked out well. Fleet of Foot adds to my speed. Yeah, you can say I am getting old. Okay. That feels a little bit better. And these are like, I can't even argue against those.
Yeah, you need those.
It makes the character happen.
Well, it just makes you... Because, like, I mean, otherwise you're just rolling strength plus brawl every turn. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Okay. So what are we at now? 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 26, 28, 29.
wait, still? I thought you were at 30 before, and we just removed a bunch.
That was before I filled in Street Fighting, I guess.
Okay, let me count. Move it back up so I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
29.
And like I said, you could still drop Barfly and then be under Helena. Or equal to. If that's what you're really worried about.
Yeah, I'll drop Barfly too. Can I get these back later?
You can spend experience points on them. To be honest, Barfly isn't that useful, I don't think, but...
Well, that's good.
All right. Now that you've caved to peer pressure...
I have. What's next?
Yeah, everyone wants to talk to me while I'm doing this.
Because you're so cool.
I mean, maybe. I refuse to acknowledge that statement, but I appreciate you saying it. All right, that was merits. So let's get through some advantages. So you see where it says willpower there?
Yes.
Okay, so your willpower dots are equal to your resolve plus your composure.
Composure's 2, resolve, so...
Composure's 2?
Composure's 3, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Resolve, so 5. So 5 dots.
Yeah. So fill in 5 dots on it. Okay, your integrity is 7.
Okay. Sounds fake, but okay.
Everyone starts at 7.
Oh. You sure I shouldn't start at 6? Okay. 5, 6.
Because integrity in this game isn't really like how good of a person you are, it's your personal integrity. So
Okay.
it's how far you can fall before you aren't a person that you recognize. Because like integrity is a secondary death condition, because if you drop to 0 integrity, you also stop being a playable character. You're just too far gone.
Okay.
Either you go mad, or you become a serial killer, or
something off the rails happens.
yeah. Okay. Size is 6 because you're a giant.
That's right. Where's size? 6.
And then your health is your size plus your stamina.
6 plus stamina, 9.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a lot.
It is a lot. I think Coulter has 6 or 7 health.
6, 7, 8.
I think Margaret might have 5 or 6.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
All right. Speed is equal to your strength plus your dexterity plus 5.
Equal to my strength. It's 4 plus 5.
Plus 5. 10. So 10.
Ooh, ooh.
I think you got rid of Fleet of Foot, so...
I did.
So that would have increased your speed by another 1. But your initiative modifier is your dexterity plus your composure.
1 plus 3 is 4.
And you did take fast reflexes, right? 1?
Yeah.
So add 1.
So 2 plus composure, so that's 5. That's initiative mod plus 5?
Yeah. Your defense is the lower of your wits or dexterity plus your athletics, but in your case, brawl.
So lower of those two is 1 plus my what?
Brawl.
1 plus brawl is 4, so 5.
Yeah. And then if you use your street fighting duck and weave, you can get that up to 7.
That's my defense?
Yeah. And then you have armor 1/0 from your iron skin.
Okay.
And what that means is 0 is your defense against bullets. You have nothing there. Anything else on there we need to fill out? Nope. We can move on to. Let me actually just fill out some stuff. So your willpower is what? In the end,
Willpower 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
your integrity was 7. Your speed was 10. Your health is ridiculous. Your initiative modifier was 5. And your defense was 5 and/or 7 if you use an ability.
I'm gonna write and/or 7.
And then we don't have to do this on camera, but before I leave today, I want to write down all your merits so I have them. And all your skills so I have them, but we can do that. So, job. So we're done with the character sheet for now, unless you want to take notes on this page.
Mm-hmm.
But that's more for you. Coulter can either send this to you, or I have physical character sheets if you want to like transcribe it onto a physical character sheet.
At some point, yeah.
But so job, you work for the fighting pit
/ the wrestling school.
wrestling school. Any family?
No.
Really?
I would think. I don't know. Because
No
if I'm doing
kids,
that
no
at night.
ex-wife.
Oh, I think ex-wife and probably grown kids, yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like any family that you would
Any.
perceivably have contact with. Like if you say none, that means you have none.
Oh. Ex-wife and kids.
How many kids?
2?
Okay. How are you and the wife? Ex-wife. Amicable, co-parenting, hate each other.
Amicable, try to co-parent, inevitably I disappoint.
And with adult kids, it probably makes sense that you're probably not doing a lot of co-parenting anymore.
Yeah.
All right. 2 boys, 2 girls, boy, girl.
Probably 2 girls.
Okay. How old?
College age?
Okay, so 20s.
18 and 22, maybe?
I'd say 19 and 23.
Okay.
How old are you, by the way?
Ooh.
So if you have a 23-year-old, and assuming you had her at 18, that puts you minimum math 41?
Yeah. 45.
Okay. Okay. Friends. People you would hang out with regularly. Like, who are your friends? You don't have to give them names or anything like that, but just in general. Like guy at gym, guy at bar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably another coach at the wrestling school, and then old friends from the business. An old friend from the business or 2.
Okay, so other wrestlers.
Yeah.
Anyone in town?
1.
Okay. One in town. Anybody else who you're like close with? Nobody from the business?
I'd like to think that it's like not friends with them specifically because like this is skeevy and shady. If anything bad happens, like we're not friends. You don't actually know where I live. You don't know the names of my daughters. Stuff like that.
Okay, so those are strictly business.
Yeah.
All right, so now comes how we determine your integrity. I'm going to ask you a series of questions that are going to give us a framework that will
Okay.
let me build breaking points for your characters.
Okay.
Try your hardest to not have the same situation be the answer to multiple questions. Because it's
Okay.
very easy to go like, the worst thing my character ever did was this, and then use that for all the other questions.
Mhm.
So try not to do that. So like we want different situations throughout his life.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You mentally loose?
I think so.
All right. What is the worst thing your character has ever done?
Oh Jesus. How bad does that get for some of the other characters?
So we are determining your character's level of integrity. So
Yeah.
it does not matter what anyone else considers the worst thing. It's what you, as this character, what does he think the worst thing he's ever done?
I think the worst thing he's ever done is intentionally botch a move to really hurt somebody.
Spite.
That is
And this was during his career?
during the fame heydays.
So I have to ask, did anyone find out about it?
It got chalked up to the sometimes shit happens.
So it was seen as accidental.
Yeah. But he knew that he wasn't in the right position to catch somebody. And instead of catching them falling together into the tables or pit of chairs, whatever it is, just, oh, oops.
So everyone thinks it was an accident, but he knows that it wasn't.
Yes.
Okay. What is the worst thing your character can imagine himself doing? Not something like he thinks he's capable of. Something he thinks he's capable of, but like he won't. You know what I mean? Like he would hate himself for going this far.
Beating someone to death.
Okay.
I don't know if that's under the same. Like,
Well,
you're
no.
saying.
Yeah. Why is beating somebody to death suddenly a problem when he technically could do that any day at the fighting pit? Like beating somebody to death out of anger, beating somebody to death out of spite. Like, is there a qualifier to that, or?
Yes, out of pure blood curdling rage. And then gaining that clarity back and going, oh no.
Okay. What's the worst thing you can imagine somebody else doing?
Hurting his daughters. Physical violence against his daughters, which is what he
Now,
does.
is it women or is it just his daughters?
Obviously, first his daughters, but yes, women.
Okay.
Because he's from the older generation where the men never touched the women wrestlers. They would never, you know what I mean? They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So he like has that instilled in him. So it's that. But the worst is like, if
Yeah.
anyone were to
But I
hurt-
mean, like, that's kind of like a given. You know what I mean? Like, hurting
Yeah.
one's family is, like, kind of already there. Like, so, like, a good example is, like, his action. So, like, a good example of something, the worst thing he could think of himself is, like, his actions hurting his daughters. That would be a good breaking point.
Yeah.
But, like, and I might throw that in there anyway. But somebody else doing is just, like, you just feel like women and violence should be completely separate.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
Don't-
is rough because the other tough guy in the group is a woman. So
Like don't harm women and kids
yeah.
type thing.
So this entire group has basically forced me to murder some kids because everyone said kids.
Oh no.
I mean, you guys did it. It's not me. It's out of my hands.
You're the storyteller. It is all in your hands.
I have a really good one for this one.
Okay.
But what is your character forgotten? And that seems really like broad, but what it specifically is talking about is what situation in your character's life has he brushed up against the supernatural and either explained it away or forgotten about it? I have a good one for this if you don't have anything.
I don't know. Go ahead. See if it jogs something.
What if in your youth you were scrawny, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you met some guy at a diner and he was like, you know what, kid? You're going to go far. I want you to write on this piece of paper, you're going to go far someday. And then as you wrote on that paper, like you just saw something shift in the man's eyes and he grinned a little too wide. And then your career just you started bulking up and your career took off. You got super famous. And like, it's always just seemed coincidental. Like, you know, he didn't say, sell me your soul and then you'll be a wrestling champ. It was more like, you know, like it's a self-affirmation letter.
I think I like that, but I'm very worried about the repercussions
Hey,
of
you're
choosing that.
you're in your late 40s. Like nothing's ever come of it. Unless you have something better.
I'm trying to think. Trying to think of an answer. What experience does he have with the supernatural that he forgot about
Or explained away.
or explained away?
It's something that in the back of his mind, he should be like, hmm. But like realistically, it's like, hmm.
I don't have anything else other than changing that a little bit. That he just maybe was trying to break into wrestling, got beat on real hard, and was at a diner after the show, kind of bruised and bloodied. And someone sat down and was like, "You okay?" And he tried to, I'm fine. And then had like a little talk. And, I'm trying to be a professional wrestler. And then they like, "You can do that. I believe in you." And then after that, over the next year, somehow he put on 40 pounds of muscle.
Okay.
Same idea, just different flavor.
I mean, there's no contract in that one, but.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what is a particularly traumatic moment in the character's life? So before we talked about what things do to others, what you've done to others. This is what's been done to you.
Particularly traumatic.
I have one for this one too.
Okay. What's your idea?
You don't have anything?
I have a couple ideas, but I want to know what your
So-
idea is.
After your career ended,
Mhm.
but before you got into like the comfortable place that you are now, like maybe you broke a couple kneecaps under pressure from somebody you owed money to who you thought was like a buddy. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, like somebody forced you to like break people and you've gotten out of that. You know what I mean? But like it's something that like you don't really like not having, like if you were gonna choose violence, you want to choose it, not have it chosen for you. You don't like being under people. That's why you've striven so hard to like get where you are in your current organization.
That's a good one. I was just thinking traumatic experience, like,
Child abuse or something like
or like
that.
the wife and kids were in a car accident and he was across the country and couldn't do anything. You're like, oh, child abuse, no big deal.
I mean, everybody. It's a dog. What the fuck is that noise? All right. Last thing, unless you have any questions, I want you to pick at least 3 things you want for the character. What Jake wants for this character's arc.
Okay.
Not what the character wants, not what the character's dreams are, or anything like that. It could be like, I want him to like get really badly injured, or you know what I mean? Like I want him to like have a romance arc, or I want him to have a redemption arc, or you know what I mean? Like what do you want from this character's personal story?
How do I phrase that I want him to have the spotlight one more time?
Okay.
And like have some big heroic moment.
We'll call it 5 more minutes of fame.
Okay.
That one's a little bit harder on me, but I will figure it
Okay.
out.
That I So I said that he tries to be a dad, but ultimately disappoints all the time. I want him to have a nice wholesome moment with his daughters. The
Okay.
ex-wife is neither here nor there.
Mm.
They're on decent terms. She's put up with him for so long now, she knows.
Okay. You said wholesome. Can it just be emotional, or does it have to be wholesome?
Emotionally fulfilling.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else? Anything negative you want for the character?
Um, Selfishly, I want those spite moments of him being like, you know what? Like small things happening in the grocery store. I'm going to try to find ways to do that because I think that's fun.
I mean, that's not really
I know.
an aspiration for me. That's on you to play into
To
your
see if I
character's
can-
vice. Some bag boy is rude to you, so you just go to the Pregu aisle and trip into like the pasta sauce that spills all over. And walk out to him and was like, "Hey, there's a cleanup over in the pasta aisle."
Yeah, shit like that.
He's like covered in pasta sauce. Just don't fucking care.
Do I want him to have a redemption romance?
A redemption romance?
Mm-hmm. He's completely disappointed his ex-wife.
Okay, I can put romance arc down.
Yeah, but you asked if I want anything bad. I don't know if I do.
Romance arc can be bad. Better to have loved and lost.
Oh God, you love cannon fodder to kill NPCs.
Why do you think I asked all of these questions?
Rio is a very dark DM, and it's so fitting that he just always does Chronicles of Darkness.
I do other stuff. I do Strixhaven.
I know, but in like the other games that we play, it just feels like it's not as dark as he wants. So he story tells for Chronicles of Darkness.
Chronicles of Darkness, it is easier to do because like it's baked in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you walk into that going like this is going to be horrifying and like gritty and dark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whereas like D&D, you're not expecting it.
Yeah. It's more fun and whimsical.
At least it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
Unless I'm controlling it.
Unless Rio's controlling it.
All right. That's it for us. What did you do?
Just paused. Okay, I guess the recording stopped. Perfect.
I hope it didn't stop in the middle.
I mean, I was writing stuff for the whole time.
Yeah. Thank you. This was the last one. I finally got Jake in the chair, in the hot seat. I have my PCs, even though there might be a guest star PC, so I don't know if we're going to do, because of situations. But so we might have that one as well. I haven't decided on that yet, if I want to record that one or if just do that one-on-one or whatever. But thanks for tuning in. I am Rio. This is Jake with the Mighty Misfit Menagerie, and we'll come up with a tagline eventually.
Eventually.